Welcome to Legs Like Mine, the podcast, where we explore lipedema through the eyes of a patient, break down the latest research, and share real life stories of living with this often misunderstood condition. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. I'm a lipedema patient, author, and advocate, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're newly diagnosed or deep into your journey, this podcast is for you. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking study titled Experiences of Sexual Health and Intimate Relationships in Women with Lipedema, a Qualitative Study. It was published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing in 2025 and authored by Joanna Falck, Jan Mårtensson, Lise Lott Johansson, Joanna Dudek, and Annette Nygårdh. This study is significant for several reasons. First, it's possibly one of the first published research that directly investigates how women with lipedema experience sexual health and intimacy. And second, it gives us, as patients and providers, crucial language and insights into a topic that is still rarely acknowledged in healthcare settings. Let's talk about the methodology first. This was a qualitative study, which means the researchers used interviews to deeply explore the personal experiences of the participants. 16 women in Sweden with diagnosed lipedema took part, most of them living with stage 2 or stage 3 disease. The interviews were conducted between October 2023 and February 2024. Participants were asked open-ended questions about their experiences with sexual health and intimate relationships. The responses were then analyzed using conventional content analysis, allowing the researchers to identify patterns and themes directly from the women's words. The results were powerful and honestly heartbreaking at times. The study identified 4 main categories of experience. First, being burdened by body shame. 2, being hindered by an aching and heavy body. Third, being torn between desire and avoidance. And fourth, being affected by what is said and what is left unsaid. Let's break these down. First, being burdened by body shame captured how many women struggled with body image, often describing their bodies in painful, negative terms, using words like disgusting or horrible. Some said they had never been fully naked in front of their long-term partners, even after decades of marriage. The fear of being seen, literally and emotionally, was a major barrier to intimacy. Compression garments, swelling, and limited clothing options were also mentioned as barriers that made women feel less attractive and less likely to initiate or accept intimate contact. Second, being hindered by an aching and heavy body focused on the physical challenges of lipedema. Many participants experienced pain when touched, especially in the legs, and found that sexual activity could be physically difficult or painful. Even cuddling on the couch was sometimes uncomfortable. Swelling, fatigue, and heaviness made certain positions impossible and often made women feel clumsy or self-conscious during intimate moments. Third, the women described being torn between desire and avoidance. They wanted connection. They longed for closeness, touch, and feeling desired. But many avoided opportunities for sex, sometimes by going to bed at different times or withdrawing emotionally. For some, being single felt like an easier option than facing the anxiety that came with potential romantic or sexual relationships. This push-pull dynamic, wanting intimacy but avoiding it out of fear or discomfort, was a major emotional struggle that left some women feeling isolated and resigned. And fourth, the women were deeply affected by what was said and what wasn't. Hurtful comments from partners, especially about weight or appearance, were deeply wounding and could shut intimacy down completely. On the flip side, having a supportive, loving partner who offered reassurance and checked in about physical comfort made a big difference. Importantly, None of the participants had ever been asked about their sexual health by a healthcare provider, not even during extensive care for lipedema. That silence was loud. It meant women often kept these experiences private and never had a chance to process or get support for this part of their well-being. So what can we take away from this? For patients, this study validates what many of us already know. Lipedema doesn't just affect our legs. It affects our sense of self, our relationships, and our ability to be vulnerable and connected. If you've ever struggled to feel desirable, to accept your body, or to enjoy intimacy, you are not alone, and it's not your fault. For providers, this is a call to action. Nurses, midwives, and others in frequent contact with women across their lifespan have a unique opportunity to create safe spaces for conversations about sexual health. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but it does mean giving patients permission to talk about these concerns and connecting them with resources when needed. The authors of this study recommended a tool like the explicit model, that's spelled EX-PLISSIT, which helps providers engage in these conversations without needing to be sex therapists. Just acknowledging the topic can make a huge difference. In conclusion, this study shines a necessary light on the hidden experiences of women living with lipedema. It highlights how deep the impact goes, beyond the swelling and pain, and into our relationships, identities, and our ability to connect with others. If you want to read the full article yourself, it's open access in the Journal of Advanced Nursing, published in 2025, and I'll have a link to its DOI link below. Thanks for listening. I hope this episode reminds you that your story matters and that no part of your experiences is too personal or too complicated to deserve care, compassion, and understanding. Until next time, I'm Susan O'Hara, and this is Legs Like Mine, the podcast. If this episode spoke to you, or if you've ever felt unheard on your lipedema journey, please know this: you are not alone. We're in this together, and we're not stopping here. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. Be kind to yourself and keep going.